Hi everyone, welcome to After Class.
A podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
And some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
or a cup of coffee
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of After Class. I am so excited because today I am joined by a special guest, Natalie, who is an adult ballet dancer, and she is going to share her story with us about coming to ballet as an adult and some of the really unique challenges that she has overcome. I think you're going to be super inspired by her story. So welcome to the podcast, Natalie.
Hello, Hannah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. Just a little backstory for everyone listening. We connected on Instagram, and you had recently shared a post just kind of about your journey coming to ballet, and it was just such an incredible story. So I'm so excited for people to hear it today. But maybe we could start just with a little bit about your background in dance, where you grew up, all the things.
Yeah, of course. Well, I grew up in the north of England, so actually my whole family is Irish. Me and my brother are the only ones that were born in England. So I actually want to be Irish, but I can't say I'm Irish. So everyone said, my family says, "You're not Irish, you're English." But I grew up in the north of England, Yorkshire, and like most Irish children, they get not pushed in my case, but they get welcomed to Irish dance. It's like it's something you have to do. And I think I was about 4 years old when I started Irish dancing. Yeah, I loved it. It was I think Irish dancing for a child is so fun because it's a really energetic dance. It's really joyful. For a kid, you're always jumping around, you know. And when I got to I think I was about 7 years old, I actually started competing. So, and actually when I think I was also about 7, I had some girls in my class and they were doing ballet. And I didn't really know much about ballet, but I think I wanted to do it to try and be in that crowd, you know, in that group. So I convinced and also the outfit, I really loved the outfits, you know. So I convinced my mum to let me do this. She bought me everything, bless her. She bought me the uniform. She bought me tap shoes, the ballet slippers. And I think I only did 2 classes.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. And the reason why I only did like 2 classes is because my mother actually told me that the dance teacher said to my mom she needs to choose either Irish dancing or ballet because she's getting mixed up. And the posture is completely different. So in Irish dancing, the shoulders are back, the shoulder blades are pinched together, the ribs are a little bit out, and ballet is different, right? So yeah, she said I needed to choose. So of course I chose Irish dance. I was already been doing it for a long time. It was my culture. And I don't know if this is a true memory or not, but I seem to remember feeling that ballet class was a little bit boring for me. And I think as a kid, also to come from Irish dancing, which I said is very energetic, to fast music, to go to ballet where you're learning the simple pliés, the positions, just standing there. I don't think I had the best attention for it. So it was an easy decision to choose Irish dancing. Also, you know, I was competing and I was winning too. I was doing really well. So that also made I thought I want to keep winning. I don't want to be going back to beginner. I want to keep winning. I'm quite competitive. So I really liked that competitiveness of it as well. But also I grew up swimming. So basically my mother said I could swim before I could even walk. She cannot swim and she has a fear of water, and she wanted one of the things she wanted for me, my brother, was to be opposite of that, to not be scared of water. So she put us in swimming classes from a baby. And she said I just went from the get-go, just off I go. And so I did speed swimming, competitive swimming for 8 years. And the swimming pool that was next to where I was training, I saw synchronized swimmers. And I was always messing around trying to copy off them in between the lanes. And my teacher said to me, if you want to do synchronized swimming, get out and go to that pool. You know, of course I didn't. I was scared. But I said to my mom, I want to do synchronized swimming. So I quit the speed swimming and joined the synchronized swimming team. I loved it. It was great. It was like everything that I wanted, dancing and swimming in one. So I did that and went to the competitiveness of it again. And I was doing very well in that as well. So it came to when I got a bit older, I think I was around 14, the swimming became more demanding. I had a duet partner as well, and we were doing very well together. So I needed to increase my trainings. So I chose to drop the Irish dancing and to concentrate on synchronized swimming.
Hey, adult dancer. Do you love the podcast and want more resources, news, and tips to support your ballet goals? Head over to thebusybunhead.com, your source for all things adult ballet. Stay in the know, find community, and fuel your motivation with resources like the bulletin board, a free monthly newsletter, and the Bunhead Book Club. Brand new to ballet? Book a session to get your questions answered. It's all waiting for you at thebusybunhead.com. It's really cool how you've had these different passions that you've been able to follow, and they've kind of just led into the next thing. I would imagine even with synchronized swimming, like there's some ballet in there.
Yeah, well, it used to be called water ballet. I think it was in the 80s. I think they used to call it water ballet. So yeah, there's definitely some similarities there with it.
And then I'm guessing adulthood kind of started. Did you continue with synchronized swimming or swimming into adulthood, or at what point did you stop doing that?
I think I was 17. Basically, when I when I was in school, I didn't concentrate too much on academics because, to be honest, I never knew what I wanted to be, and I had a dream that I was going to be an Olympic swimmer. So I don't need school because I'm going to be Olympic swimmers, So I didn't focus too much on that. And then when I finished the swimming, when I realized it wasn't really going to go much further, I was a bit lost. What do I do now? There's nothing left for me. I spent my whole life working towards something and doing a sport, and I'm not doing anything, and this is not what I want to do. And I went to the cinema to watch a movie called Blue Crush, a Hollywood surfing movie. And when I was watching this movie, I thought, that's it. That's what I want to be. That's what I want my life to be. And so I went home after the cinema. I asked my father, where's the nearest sea to where we live? And he told me, and it was an hour and a half drive away. So that weekend came. The very next weekend, I drove to the sea. They had a surf shop. I rented a board, rented a wetsuit, and just paddled out. And because I had no fear of water, I didn't care. I was on my own, and I just went, and I absolutely loved it. That was when the full addiction started.
It's amazing because to really just jump in to surfing like that, it makes sense that you had such a strong swim background so you would feel more comfortable. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like you definitely, I can tell there's a thread of you being very fearless and courageous about jumping into new things in your story, which is so fun. You just have had such an adventurous life of trying these different things. And so surfing, that became the passion of your adult life.
Everything. Yeah, it sounds weird to say, and probably someone who doesn't surf won't get it or will have a hard time getting what I'm about to say, but it becomes a purpose of your life. It becomes a priority. So, because the surfing is not every day. The conditions are different throughout the day, not just every day, but throughout the day. It can change in the morning to the afternoon to the evening. And, you're not guaranteed surf, or you never know when it's going to be good. So you prioritize everything around surfing. Surfing comes first. So I got to the point where I wouldn't plan anything. Even my friends from my old hometown, they would say, oh, do you want to come to our birthday party or an event in 2 weeks? And I'd be like, oh, well, can I let you know like the day before? And they go, well, no, we need to buy tickets. Oh, well, I can't go there because, the surf might be good. And then I would be really upset if the surf was good and I would have to miss it. So, and most surfers are like that. So I have to say surfers are very selfish, but yeah, we just want to be available for whenever that surf is like that. And that was for the next 20 years. I think I was 18. Yeah, 18 when I started. And that was up until 3 years ago.
So through surfing, you ended up moving locations and doing some travel around the world?
Yeah. When I started surfing, I think for about a year, maybe a year and a half, I used to commute every weekend I would drive to the ocean. I'd finish work at 5:30. I used to work in a dental practice, and I would drive straight across to the coast, surf until I couldn't see anymore, and then drive back, usually in my wetsuit because it was cold. Then eventually, after about 2 years, I moved to that city, made a life there, and I used to travel once or twice a year to places like Indonesia, Morocco, Canary Islands. Also down the south of the country, a place called Cornwall. I used to have a camper van and I would drive there and camp and surf. And then I got to the stage where I thought, well, I never want to go home. When I was going home, I used to feel really sad. I could have this life, in the sunshine, and then I found an opportunity through a friend to go to Cape Verde. I got a job there as a surf instructor and I lived there for 1 year. And when I was living there, I actually met a girl from Finland and we became really good friends. And after that 1 year finished, she went to Portugal to work in another surf camp. And I went back to England. I had this moment where I thought, oh, I need to get serious with life. I'm 29 years old. I need to maybe settle down, stop traveling, go back to university, get a proper job. And I did do that. And I was miserable, absolutely miserable. After the life I'd just been living, it's not what I wanted. So I quit after 5 months. And this girl from Finland who was in Portugal, she actually invited me. She said, why don't you come for a surf holiday and you can stay with me? Okay, great. I came to the south of Portugal and yeah, I loved it. And while I was here, I also got offered a surf instructor job. So I went home, quit university, and then moved to Portugal. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. So Portugal is home now.
Yeah, my husband is from here too. Actually, in that week that I came for holiday, he was actually my friend booked a surf guide, a local surf guide to show us around because she was new to the area, and he was a surf guide. So we became friends and we stayed in touch. And I told him that I was going to come back, and we met again, and then we got together, and now we're married.
Someone needs to make a movie about that story, I
Yeah.
think. I know you were inspired by Blue Crush, but I think someone needs to make a movie about your story of moving to Portugal and meeting your husband, and yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
So how does, because now obviously we connected because you're doing ballet. At what
Mhm.
point does ballet kind of re-enter your journey as an adult?
Yeah, it's a bit of a sad story. Well, it maybe you're gonna think it's sad, but about 3.5 years ago, we got married, and my husband's family bought us a big motorhome, big fancy motorhome to travel through Portugal and go to Spain, and that was going to be like our honeymoon. And on the second day of our honeymoon, we went surfing to this really great place, and I got a great wave. But at the end of the wave, I kind of fell off in a certain way, and I hit my head. Well, the water hit my face quite hard, and in that moment, I even thought, "Oh, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow." Because after the surgery that I had in 2018, I didn't recover so well as I did before. So every little surf that I was having, I was waking up with like inflamed brain and things like this. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to pay for this. And the next morning, I did. And it was really annoying because the waves were great and we were camping right next to the sea, the ocean. I couldn't surf, so I had to be the photographer because I had this pain. And later that day, I started to get sicker and sicker. And my husband, I was adamant. No, I'm fine. I'm gonna pass this. I'm okay. During the night, I was vomiting. The next day, my husband said, "No, we're going to the hospital." And the third day of my honeymoon, I was in hospital for 2 weeks. Then following that, so yeah. So that was the last wave I've caught in 3.5 years.
Wow. So that one fall was kind of the catalyst for realizing that there
Well,
was a larger issue.
yeah, because it had happened a few times in the last, well, when I had a second surgery in 2018, and then I served for 5 more years after that. And it happened a few times in those 5 years. And it was getting worse and worse each time. And my neurosurgeon said to me, I don't think surfing's a sport for you anymore. I think it's too aggressive. And because when I have a lot of head movements, the type of tumor that I have, it's made up of like cells, and bits of it can break off. And when they enter your brain fluid, it causes meningitis. And you have a chemical reaction. So yeah, she said, I don't think it's for you anymore. I was adamant that once I recovered from that case and I have to have steroids every time. I was adamant that I was going to get back to it. Maybe not surf the waves that I surfed before, but more gentle ones. And I kept saying and saying it, and my husband was like, it's not worth it. I don't think you should. If you really want to, you can, but I don't think you should. You know, I worry too when this happens to you. Everyone worries. So maybe it's not worth it. So I kept saying I would, but I just never got back to it. It's been 3.5 years. So I think for the first year and a half, I was grieving a lot. I'm still grieving. I feel like someone died, like that my old self, has gone away. And yeah, so I was grieving a lot for that. And then I was looking for, I was kind of thinking, what's my purpose? What do I do now? This is being my purpose and priority for so long in my life. And before that, I had other things. What do I do now? What's the purpose? Well, and my husband would say, oh, you can still come to the beach. It's like, but I never wanted to be that girlfriend just sat on the beach watching everyone else go surfing. I need something of my own.
Yeah.
And I started to go to Pilates, which I could never do before because, like I said, when you are a surfer, you don't commit to anything because you never know when it's going to be good. So now I had all this free time. So I was like, I can commit to regular classes. I really started enjoying Pilates. And then I considered going back to Irish dancing because I knew it before. But Irish dancing is quite aggressive, especially in a almost 40-year-old body. There's no plie. You land in straight knees. So it's not good. And all the jumping around as well, I was getting headaches. So I thought, well, maybe I'm going to go try ballet. I did those 2 classes when I was younger, and I've always thought it was beautiful. And I've done synchronized swimming, and I want to try something different. Maybe ballet is the thing I can try. So I asked around. It took me ages to find a class. And then I finally found one. And yeah, and that's how it started.
The word that is just like coming to mind listening to you is just resilient. I think you're just such a resilient person to have to stubborn and resilient hand in hand, both great qualities. But yeah, I mean, to have something like that you care so deeply about, and to have something happen that's really outside of your control, and then having to pivot and find something. But it's interesting because I wonder if part of that resilience and ability to do that is because even as a child, you were willing to try new things, and you had different things that you did and succeeded at. And so as hard as it was, like the ability to just say, okay, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to find another, what's next? Find purpose for myself. Like, I just think that's so inspiring because so much of the human experience, right, is just things that we can't control that happen to us. And then it's figuring out how to move forward from there and make the best of it. And so, yeah, I love that ballet was kind of always floating in the background of your mind and something that you had the opportunity now. Was there something, I mean, obviously you had done it as a child, but was there something like specifically about ballet that made you want to return to it or like feel pulled to it?
It was, to be honest, it was the challenge of something new. Like, I want to learn something new, and I want to do it. And because I knew also that ballet is a lifelong road, right? You're never going to master it. Like, there's always something to improve and, technique and to work on. And I think it was that drew me to it because that's my new purpose. That's what I was searching for. And I mean, unless I get injured, which of course it's gonna, it can happen, which I hope it doesn't. But even if you do, you're working to cover that injury to get back to it, right? So there's always going to be a purpose, and it's safe for me because there's not a lot of head movements. It's very controlled and precise. So I thought it was the perfect thing, and also I really love the outfits.
Yes, we have that in common. I love the clothes. I know. I'm like, you know what? It's a beautiful art form, and then you also get to wear really beautiful clothes while you do it. What's not to love? But
Exactly.
yeah, I totally relate to part of why I love ballet so much is that you're always in process. There's always things to work on. It's always a challenge. And I love listening to professional dancers on podcasts when they talk about, even they're still in
Yeah.
process and working on
I've heard that
things.
too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
someone like who's a principal dancer at the top companies, they're showing up to the studio, they're putting in the work, they're trying to improve.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something really beautiful about that resonates with, especially I think there's a certain personality type. I have theories about the types of people that are drawn to ballet.
Yeah,
That
maybe.
yeah, that need that challenge and that ongoing stimulation to feel
Yeah.
engaged.
It's like my husband said to me, like, "Why did you choose? Like, if ballet is so hard, why did you choose it?" You know, like I was doing something the other day, and he was like, "Relax. I know you need to look relaxed, but you can never be relaxed." And I said, "No, you don't relax." And he said, Why are you doing it then? Why are you doing the hardest thing ever? You should pick something nice and gentle."
I'm curious, do you feel like there's any specific things from your background in surfing that translate to ballet? Like one of the things I'm immediately thinking of is core strength.
Yeah, core and balance. Actually, my doctors have said to me that if I hadn't have been, an Irish dancer, synchronized swimmer, surfer, probably my balance and coordination should be, they said, a lot worse than what it is. But because I've had that experience in my background, they said I have muscle memory, so it's not as bad as what it is. Sometimes like my balance is a little bit off, especially when I do a turn. It's because I have no awareness. As soon as I take my eyes off where I'm looking, I go the other way. But yeah, surfing, I think definitely core is the main thing and balance. And also when you're on the wave, you have to learn how to read the wave and you have to flow with it. And in dancing, you kind of flow too to the music, right? So I think maybe those things. But I think the things that helped me most is Irish dancing and synchronized swimming because the artistry and the musicality and learning choreography. I'm quite good at learning choreography. I do it twice and I can remember because, I've done it my whole life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think those things have helped me more, but surfing definitely played a part.
It's actually really cool, I guess, to hear that your background in these things helped you now with the physical things that you're dealing with. Because I do think that's such a amazing benefit of dance is like there's just so many other things that it gives us as adults and then even as we continue aging, even now they're doing all these studies about Alzheimer's and how having dance in your background or actively continuing to dance as you age can really help with all kinds of mental
Yeah.
things and cognitive things. And so I love that about dance. I think, we tend to do it because there's other things about it we enjoy with the music and artistry and things like that, but it's also giving us all of these other really amazing benefits. What do you feel like have been some of the most challenging aspects of learning just as an adult and coming into ballet specifically, whether it's physical challenges, are there certain steps? Like I know you mentioned things like turns maybe are more challenging, but
Yeah, I want to say everything's been a challenge. Yeah, even down to finding a studio to do it. But I would say probably my biggest challenge to start with, and it still irritates me, is my foot. Both my ankles actually are a little bit weaker from a lot of previous injuries in Irish dancing that I didn't heal properly. I wanted to keep going and I keep dancing, dancing over it. I've had a few sprayed ankles and broken toes in surfing too. So now in my right foot, the left foot's not too bad, but in the right foot, I have a very stiff toe. I don't know if some osteoporosis is crept in there, but it has a restriction, so it's lost mobility. So I think when I go on demi point, I sickle a little bit to the right, so that's made my ankle sore as well. And so even doing like a lunge, if your back foot's on your toes, my foot is shaking, that stability is not there. So that's really annoying. I'm doing foot exercises and mobilities and, the hot and cold things, but yeah, I do ask myself, is this ever gonna go? And I would love to try point one day. Actually, embarrassing, I do have a pair of point shoes. So when I started ballet, it was one of the first things I did. I know you can't wear them. I read a lot of things and see a lot of things. So I'm not just naive to think I can jump on in point shoes, but I bought them with a huge hope that maybe one day I could wear them. And if not, then they would just be a really pretty decoration in my house. So I was in London one day going to a neurosurgery appointment. And I went past the Block store and I went in and asked them to fit me for a pair of point shoes. And so, yeah, I have them. And then when I first got them, it was a year ago. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was really curious to see what they look like now. So I put them on and did a video, and they're still really bad. They look awful on my feet. You could see how weak my ankles were shaking, and they were both sickled, and I didn't have those nice straight lines. So like, nope, back in the bag, maybe in a few years.
No, you can totally get there. And I think I actually love that you bought them as aspirational thing because they're so beautiful. It's so funny because I've always felt a little bit, I don't know, dorky or nerdy about how much I love point shoes, like the actual shoe itself.
So nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And I felt so validated because I was listening to another podcast the other day and they were interviewing a professional dancer with New York City Ballet. I can't remember which dancer it was, to be honest, but she was just gushing about how much she loves her point shoes and how beautiful they are and like wanting to, display them and things like that. And I felt so validated because I was like, oh, she's a professional and she gushes about her point shoes. So maybe it's not that nerdy after all.
Well, I also like when I decided to get them, and I thought, well, if I can't wear them, I'm going to have them as decoration. I kind of got the idea from a friend of mine. She's an interior designer, and she has a pair of very small pod shoes in her daughter's bedroom, hanging on the door. And I thought it like with some flowers around, and I thought they look so beautiful. And I was like, oh, I could do that. If I don't wear them, it doesn't matter. I can just have these beautiful shoes in my house. I even sewed ribbons and elastics and everything on them. It took me 4 hours, but I did. But yeah, maybe one day. I'm not giving up. I'm still doing my exercises, and just if I can even get my ankles strong enough just to be able to stand in them without them looking ugly, that will be a huge achievement. So I know I'll never be able to dance in center. Well, no, I'll never say never. Who knows? But because of my balance issues, it's going to be a huge challenge. But just if I could do some bar in them, and also, my husband's a professional photographer and filmmaker, so I would also have a dream to have some really beautiful photos with point shoes. But I'm too embarrassed to do that now because I can't even dance in them. So, yeah, I don't feel like I could do the photos until I can at least put them, standing them properly.
Yeah, but you know what? I think looking at the totality of your life and experience up to this point, you can do it. I fully believe that if anyone has the resilience and the tenacity to do it, but I think too, I love what you said about just having goals of like, even if I just am able to stand in them comfortably and feel like I'm pleased with that. Like I think that that is a great way to approach point, and it's something that I'm trying to do because I think a lot of times we compare ourselves to professional dancers and are like, well, if I can't dance on point like that, then why bother? But I think there's still something really rewarding about going on the journey wherever it takes you. And if that's being able to do a photo shoot in them someday, or if that's being able to do a bar class in them, like whatever your specific goal is for point, I feel like that's a really great mindset to approach point with instead of the like, I have to be able to do a full out class or otherwise why bother?
Basically, I just have the thought processes. I want to be strong enough to do this. It's like a challenge that I've set myself, and I will succeed. I'm going to get those strong feet and strong ankles. So that's all that I'm focused on. And I'm not, I've done sports and things when I was younger, so I know that it takes a lifetime. So I thought going into ballet, I think I'm going to be a ballerina. I basically just want to fill this missing space that I have. I still have a bit of a resistance. I still grieve surfing. Ballet is really helping. And I just want this purpose. And I want to be able to succeed in this strength. And also, I have all these challenges because of my medical condition anyway. if I can overcome them a bit that I'm not supposed to be able to, but if I can, then wow, right?
Yes. Yes. Wow. Definitely. That's how I felt hearing your whole story. It's just like, wow. It's just so inspiring, I think, for anyone who has had some sort of physical barrier. Because I think as adults, that's very common with either chronic injuries or an unexpected injury. And so I think the more we can see other people that are overcoming their own challenges to come into the studio and dance and learn ballet and improve over time. Like that's just, it's so inspiring. So I guess to wrap up, I would be curious, what would you say to someone who is considering starting ballet as an adult? Is there anything reflecting on your own journey that if you were talking to someone who's thinking, I want to get into ballet, but I'm just not sure, what would you say to that person?
Just come. It's really enjoyable, and also it's a really great form of exercise. It's not boring, you know. Like also it motivates you to even do more exercise because you want to have the strength to be able to do this. And so I've kind of said things like that. I can't really suggest to them as why I started because I think my journey was completely different. I mean, I was looking for a purpose, you know. I started purely for that purpose, and I think if I was still surfing, maybe I wouldn't be here, you know. Maybe I wouldn't have started ballet because you never had the room to start anything else because surfing takes over everything. So yeah, I guess losing surfing is awful and something that I'm still dealing with. But on the bright side, I'm learning ballet and I'm really enjoying it. So that's my purpose. But I don't know if that relates to other people. So
Think it definitely does. I mean, I think there's a lot of people, I think it's common in adults that you kind of hit a point where, maybe if you're in a career or with your family where things are kind of steady, and I
yeah,
think you get a point maybe where you're looking for a new challenge and you want to infuse your life with, like you said, just that sense of added purpose and something to set goals and achieve goals. Because I do think that's a challenging aspect, even just of being an adult sometimes, is that you're in a routine, for
yeah.
most of us. There's a certain predictability to the rhythm of your life. And I think it definitely makes sense to me what you're saying, even just for someone that maybe doesn't have the same journey to ballet that you've had, but is just generally looking for something new to infuse their life with an added sense of purpose and something to push for and set goals. And I think that's a great advertisement for ballet.
Yeah.
You're looking to
I
add some purpose in your life.
am also like always working towards something and always training for something. It was my whole life from a very young age. And, you know, I was doing something always for a purpose, you know, whether to, to get better at it, to win competitions, you know. And so I felt like, maybe some people might hear and might think, oh, how sad. Like she needs a purpose, you know. You don't have your husband, you live in a beautiful place. Yeah, I know I do. But for me personally, I always want to push myself. I want to work towards something and succeed in it, you know? So
Yeah.
for me, ballet has become that. And yeah, I'm really grateful actually that I allowed myself to go and do it, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. You're truly
Thank you.
amazing. And I love hearing your story. And I think it's such a testament to resilience. And if you are willing to embrace the things that come your way and you're willing to pivot and take on new challenges, that you really can find purpose in different seasons. It might look different, but I just love your approach to ballet and your approach just to life in general of just being willing to jump into new things. And I think that it's very inspiring. So we'll put Natalie's Instagram information in the show notes so that you can follow her and follow along with her journey. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.